Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and tonight we are going to be discussing the Smash Brothers franchise. I think all of us, or most of us, will agree that Smash Brothers Ultimate is the ultimate version of this game, and it's really hard to top it other than just adding more characters. And I'm not sure Nintendo wants to do, so we'll discuss that tonight. Some of our ideas for what you do next with the Smash Brothers franchise. But first, let's check in and see how Caleb is doing. I know Caleb's had a pretty big week, so
Yeah,
let's check on Caleb.
yeah. So first thing, I feel great. I ended up having like a really bad cold after last Sunday. So I woke up on Monday, couldn't even talk. So I think last episode you could hear me like deteriorate, and by the end I'm probably like just out there. Um, but yeah, by the end of the week, I felt great, and I woke up on Friday. I get a text from my dad, my producer, if you will, and he tells me that my album is finally on streaming services, Spotify, um, Apple, Amazon, all that good stuff. I've had a lot of support from a lot of friends and family. I actually today I went to this place here in Louisville called Taco City, and throughout this weekend I've just been posting stuff on like my Instagram story, just kind of like really pushing the album. And one thing that I would do before I go over to my dad's studio is I would go to this place called Taco City and I'd have a Cali burrito. And so I put out a thing on my story because I went to Taco City today and just took a picture of my burrito, put my song like under the story so like you can listen to it while you look at my burrito. And I said, "Did you know that this album was fueled exclusively by Cali burritos from at Taco City, Louisville?" And they actually shared that. So I'm really hoping that gets some publicity in the local scene for all of our Taco City fans. They start listening to my album, but yeah, album's out. I'm so excited. If y'all
And
like to listen to it, oh yeah, go ahead.
what's it called? Is it?
Uh,
Is it
Thanks for the feedback.
okay? I did have it right. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for the
Uh,
feedback. Yeah, on Spotify, Apple, Caleb Monahan, Monyhan. Super excited about it. There's a I know like at some point we've been talking about like how fun it would be to have uh, like some sort of like uh, preamble theme song or something. I've got this one song on there that's called "She's a Witch," uh, and it is my love song to Wanda Maximoff post Multiverse of Madness. So it's really funny because it's a song about like, oh man, I can change her, but of course she's the monster of that movie, so it's really funny. But yeah, it's been a really, other than the fact that like I was sick most of the week, the weekend turned out to be pretty good. So yeah, been doing good. I've also been once again watching a lot of Law and Order because I was sick. I saw Adam Driver like 15 years ago, and it was super weird. David Harbour was like running a dogfighting ring.
nice.
Watching old Law and Order, like with like because like whenever you'd watch old Law and Order back in the day, whenever Law and Order was still popular, you'd see big actors like Julia Roberts or George Clooney, and then they get big. So it's cool to go back and watch the Law and Order that was on in like the mid to late 2000s and see that those people also got really big now. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's usually a witness they talk to at the beginning of the episode. That's usually some
Mhm.
star, and I
Yeah.
think the weirdest one. There's two weird ones. Kevin Smith was a very strange one.
Yes, yes.
And then there's an episode of SVU where I think the bad guy is, and I get them mixed up. It's either Logan Paul or Jake Paul. One of the Paul brothers
It was
is like
Logan Paul, yeah.
Logan Paul, yeah. And it's just like, what?
No, you know what? There was an episode of SVU, um, where the victim was I Justine. Oh man, no. Yeah, watch Law and Order. Law and Order. We recommend that.
Oh, classic Law and Order is wonderful.
Oh yeah, I went back and I started watching the first season.
Yeah, it's a little bit
And
different. The first season is, yeah.
oh, it is so different. It's like because it came out in 1990, so it's still basically an 80s show, but the writing is so ahead of its time. And one thing I didn't realize, I had no idea that Jack McCoy didn't come in until like season 5.
Yeah.
Like, like Law and Order to me, I think of Law and Order, I think of Sam Watterson.
Yeah, him and Lenny Briscoe. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry
Yeah.
Orbach, Lenny Briscoe.
Yeah.
I read up on this. There are actually two in New York City. They were labeled like living landmarks. Uh, Both Sam Watterson and Jerry Orbach. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could be labeled a living landmark. But
That is strange, but pretty cool.
yeah, but yeah, I've talked a lot. What about you? How's your week been going?
Pretty good. Very busy week at work. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna put that I'm now streaming. Um, uh, yeah, pretty busy week at work. I got very curious about what happens at the end of Attack on Titan, so I sat down and read the whole rest of the manga. So now I know. I know. I know what happens. And I thought, that's pretty good. And then I got a line, and everybody's like, we hate it, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. So it was interesting seeing everybody's different points of view about what happens at the end of Attack on Titan. And I'm sure it'll, there's always rumors that the anime may have a different ending. Um,
Mhm.
I also checked out Chainsaw Man last night.
How was that? I saw the intro to that, and I'm like, this seems like my bag, but at the same time, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably get like an 8 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. And the intro was mostly different movie parodies. So I heard a rumor that every episode will have a different intro. So
Yeah,
that'll be it. That'll,
that's what I was confused about because I watched it and I'm like, Cameron, what is it? And Cameron, we're both kind of weebs, but Cameron is like super omega weeb. And so I was like, what is this intro? I don't even know what's going on. He's like, oh, don't worry, they're gonna change it every time. I'm like, what? Every
yeah.
time?
Yeah, I mean, there was like I read like a whole list of movies they're parodying, and I was like, "Whoa, really? Okay." It was a lot. And then all the monsters start dancing. I was like, "Okay, what is happening?" Yeah, so I'm very curious to see where that goes after the first episode. Wasn't quite what because I knew nothing about it, so but I thought it was pretty good. I'm kind of hitting the point where I go through this phase like every couple of months where I just get sick of pop culture and all the politics of it and the society and whatever. And I'm finding that anime is a nice escape from all that.
Oh,
So
definitely. And
I
you
add,
know, I
I
wonder
added
if it's
like
because we're not.
yeah, go ahead.
I wonder if it's because we're like not in that culture. Like maybe it's just as like dramatic over there.
I hear it's starting to be like this whole woke culture is starting to slowly creep into Japan and they're pushing back against it. So hopefully it doesn't get crazy over like it is over here.
I mean,
Um,
at this point, manga is the most like best selling comic book at this point. Like manga is more popular than comics at this point, which just on the surface that sounds insane, but if you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so like last night, I just added a bunch of anime series to my on Hulu to try out, like
Hmm.
Spy Family and Hunter x Hunter and uh, Promise Neverland or something. I don't know. It's just adding stuff.
My cousin Haley has told me to watch Promise Never. I went manga shopping with Haley last night, and
mhm.
she was telling me about Full Metal Alchemist because I still haven't seen it.
Oh, so good.
Uh,
That's my favorite one.
I have seen all the way up to Chimera Girl, and that was fantastic. And I don't know why I stopped. Um, but and then she's always telling me to watch Promise Neverland. So I'm not familiar with it, but I have heard it a lot. And I just
Yeah,
like, hey, watch JoJo's.
yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
anime's a lot of fun. I don't know why I get away from it sometimes, but here lately I've just been on a kick where I was watching Attack on Titan and everything. So
no, yeah.
and Neon Genesis Evangelion, which I guess I'm glad I experienced it, but I'm also kind of like I don't know why this is hyped so much.
I still haven't watched it.
It's weird. All
Cameron
right.
keeps telling me that he's gonna make me watch Mobile Suit Gundam because I've only ever seen Wang, and he wants
Yeah,
me to watch.
I haven't watched any of the Gundams. I see them get made fun of a lot on the other shows. Uh, Sergeant Frog makes fun of it a lot.
Yeah, well,
So
I mean, if you're getting back into anime other than just One Piece, I mean, like I don't know if you've seen Cowboy Bebop, right?
oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Initial D.
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, Initial D's. That's how Eurobeat got really big. It's with the it's the racing anime with drifting with the Toyota AE86.
Okay,
Um, I mean that's really all it is. Is it's just drift racing.
okay.
It's I mean whenever you're looking at like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Cowboy Bebop, or like Hunter x Hunter, or One Piece, just drift racing seems like a little, but it's cool. I've been watching it recently. I think I'm like halfway through second stage,
Okay.
and then I will forever recommend JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It is my favorite anime.
I watched a bunch of it. I couldn't get into it, so um, maybe I could skip to a later season. I like Dio, but other than that, it just was not grabbing me. Um,
Okay, yeah, the first 9 episodes are a little rough. They're not great.
I got through the first season, and then there was some weird guy in a speedo that was a statue or something, and I don't know what was
Yeah, that's
happening.
Wamu.
Yeah,
So
that's when they
yeah,
started losing me. I was like, okay.
okay. Well then, if Battle, and I love Battle Tennessee, but if that wasn't grabbing you, you might need to switch to Stardust Crusaders, because that's where most people start anyway. Even though I love Battle Tendency, but my favorite is Part 5, which is Golden Wind. So anyway, that's been
Yeah.
the anime corner.
Well, one more thing. I've been watching this guy on YouTube named GOT Gaming, and he's like a music react channel. But here recently, they've been making him react to anime, and he always tries to guess what the plot is. It's very funny him trying to just guess from the openings. And
Oh,
he was watching the JoJo Bizarre Adventure openings. So he was just like, "It's a different cast again. What is happening?"
oh no! And the most insane thing is like if you first watch JoJo's intros, they do not make sense. The intros don't make sense until you finish the show, and then the intros make sense. That's actually why I started, because I'm big into, obviously I'm big into music. I'm big into intros, and so if you want me to get into a show, that show's got to have a good theme song because I'm going to be listening to that theme song however many times. So like whenever someone was like, "Hey, you should watch, something, a little bit like a horror show. You like horror movies," and so I'm like, okay, well, I'm not feeling like super horror right now, but I'm making the decision between um, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Supernatural. And I picked Buffy the Vampire Slayer just because I really love that theme song.
It is a great one.
Yeah.
All right,
But yeah.
let's get on the news. We've talked enough about um, anime.
We'll have an anime episode. It'll be fun.
We definitely will. So there's been some Marvel casting news.
There has.
There was, there's been a lot of rumors about Mephisto showing up at WandaVision. It didn't happen. Rumors that he'd be in Agatha Harkness. That may still happen, but it seems like we will definitely be seeing him in Ironheart. And they have announced the casting. Who played him in Ghost Rider? Was it
Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda? Yeah, so pretty big star.
By the
Uh,
way, I'm not like this huge Peter Fonda fan that I know that like off the top of my head. I just grew up and I knew a guy named Peter Fonda, and it's always stuck with me.
yeah, so here we have our Mephisto casting news. It's Sasha Baron Cohen.
I love it. I mean, like I don't. I mean, on the real, I don't know how I feel about it, but I love him, and you know what? I think it'd be funny if they made like his, if they made his movies like, if they made his movies like canon to the MCU, and so like Borat is Mephisto, and Ali G is Mephisto, and Bruno is Mephisto, just like the dictator is like and like that these are all of Mephisto's disguises.
You know how I wanted to play it is the way they did him on Powerpuff Girls, where he's
That'd be
kind of
great.
seductive and silly, and then he gets real
Oh
menacing.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then just gets terrifying, and you're like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. uh,
Which, by
yes,
the way, if they were to come out with him nowadays, his name would be they them. Just saying.
which I think would be funny.
I
Now that
no,
I'm
I think
thinking about
no, I think that'd be funny.
it. And they're doing a new Powerpuff Girls, the original creators. So who knows? Maybe they'll do an episode where he's like, "Oh, now I'm they
Yeah, yeah, that'd be, that'd be funny.
them."
But no, I think playing Mephisto like that.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
he'll
I don't know.
be.
Could you play Mephisto like you? I think you could play Mephisto like that in some things. Could you play him like that in like a Ghost Rider story?
Well, I mean, he was originally a Silver Surfer villain, so like, could you see that in a
Yeah.
Silver Surfer story? I could not like, but like I said, maybe he plays different. You know, depending on who he's dealing with when he's trying to seduce them or sway
Yeah, he
them.
could play different. Yeah, no, that would make sense to get a character actor then,
Yeah,
because Bruno, Borat, Ali G. I mean, they are all very different.
yeah, and they were talking to what's the guy's name that you like?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, he was in talks to play this, and that's why I think all the Xavier Magneto talks are not real because it's too. I still think it's too soon to be casting X Men. If they came and cast the Fantastic Four yet, then it's it's way too soon for the X
Mhm.
Men. The other casting news, and I've heard he is cast, he's not cast, but there's a lot of talk about Harrison Ford playing the Red Hulk or playing
I
Thunderbolt
have heard this
Ross.
one. I'm on board with it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I could see him with a mustache as the Red Hulk. I could see it. Um,
I need him to. I need him to have the enthusiasm that he has for Indiana Jones. Like I can't let him mm, treat Thunderbolt Ross like a Han Solo. And it's not because like I have anything against him, and I can't stand to see him play something that he doesn't want to play.
well, and I think that due to him getting injured in the new Indiana Jones film, that they have developed a lot of CGI of his face, like a lot of
Mhm.
CGI of him, because they're most of the movie is being filmed with a double of him, a guy that looks like him, and then they're just going to replace his face. So I think they could use that technology on the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We're a little ways away from his next appearance. So um,
Do you
more
think?
Marvel news. Go ahead.
Do you think he'll be in Thunderbolts? Like
I,
he'll be
I mean,
the
I, I think he'll definitely be in Captain America: New World Order, which comes out like around the same time as Thunderbolts. So maybe those two movies are connected. Um,
I know because we were talking about like, oh, where's Abomination in that poster? Should be on the team. Maybe Red Hulk is on the team instead.
yeah, we'll get back to Hulk here in just a minute. We talk about She-Hulk.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Let's see. There's some other Marvel updates. Blade is, I think they still gave it a date, but it's basically starting over on hold. Production is so bad on it that um, they've tossed out the script and they're just starting over. I'm not sure how that happens with Blade. That's a pretty simple concept. But here we are.
Yeah. You know what? I don't mind it though because like there are some things that some of my favorite stuff starts over. Um,
Yeah, oh, definitely.
like Final Fantasy VII remake.
Hmm.
It was 2 years into development whenever they're like, yeah, this isn't working, and so then they just scrap it and start it completely over.
Yeah,
Um, I'm still waiting for the Metroid Prime 4 stuff to see how that's coming along since they completely scrapped it.
right. Yeah, so with this getting scrapped, a lot of other movies had their dates moved. Nothing too drastic, but like Fantastic Four got pushed back into 2025 and so on. So a lot of things got changed around. Deadpool 3, which they just announced, got pushed back. Um,
Maybe about a month or so.
yeah, and I saw something about Spider-Man being in Deadpool 3. I don't know. I didn't read further into it. I just saw that rumor going around. So who knows? Um,
Yeah, I think we can. It hurts, sort of. It sort of hurts because I think the end game was just a good ending anyway. But um, things are going on at Marvel right now, and
yeah. So one of the other shows that hasn't been very public, but is apparently on hold, is Echo. They are reworking Echo because I guess they didn't like what they got, so they're is kind of back to the drawing board with that also. So yeah, there seems to be a lot going on behind the scenes um,
I
that they're
think
not really talking about. But
I think Feige's realizing that like he still has to work hard.
well, I think what is happening is the higher ups are realizing that maybe Feige is not. How do I word this? He gets a lot of credit for everything that happened, and it's kind of like, oh, it was a lot of the people around Feige, and now those people are gone. It's time to put up or shut up, and Phase 4 has not been the best.
Well, yeah, I mean like the majority. So I don't. I don't think any of us had really heard Kevin Feige's name until like the end of Phase 2, anyway. Right?
Well, what happened when they had the big split with oh, his name just Ike Perlmutter, when he and the Marvel writing group kind of got canned from the process, um, and Kevin Feige took completely over. That's when you started hearing about him.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
because at first it was Kevin Feige, it was the Marvel writing crew who started all this. A bunch of Marvel writers and Ike Perlmutter. And Ike Perlmutter would shoot down movies like he's like, oh, Captain Marvel, we're not doing that. We're not doing Black Panther. We're not doing this. And Kevin kept getting frustrated. It's like, oh, I want to do all that stuff. And so finally, he went to the higher ups and said, "Look, you gotta cut me free from these guys and let me do what I want to do." And so they had massive success with Infinity War and Black Panther and everything. But a lot of that was building off of what they started in Phase 1 and Phase 2, and now he
Yes.
doesn't have that to build off of. So, and they had a roadmap that got tore up with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and when they fired James Gunn and rehired him, that messed everything up. And James Gunn was supposed to like be the architect of everything going forward, and that all went up in smoke. So,
I,
um,
I think that's the thing is like, um, because whenever it was like it's not about a producer, it's about a director. I always think that the director is like a better architect than a producer, and that's all
Right.
Feige is.
And I mean, so I mean, look at the Russo brothers, all the stuff they did,
Well, so
and
I'm thinking initially it was um it was John Favreau until he got frustrated and left.
well,
Um,
I've been learning a little more about that. So they were going to do Demon in the Bottle for Iron Man 2,
yes,
and when they got bought out by Disney, Disney said you cannot make Tony an alcoholic or whatever. You know, you can't tell the story, and that's when Favreau kind of got frustrated. It's like, okay, I'm
yeah.
done.
Um,
So
and then after Favreau, I think we can all agree that it was redacted. Um, we don't have to say his name, but the Avengers directed by Redacted. Um,
oh, the Buffy guy.
yeah, Redacted. So he was doing work, and then around the time that Phase 2 got to about its midway point, you had Redacted, you had the Russo brothers, really making their stamp, and you had James Gunn in on
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think by Phase 3, it really was the Russo brothers really, well, the
Yeah.
Russo brothers and James Gunn like really leading the way. And so, I mean, honestly, I don't think it was ever Feige.
Uh, I think he had an eye for what works, but yeah, he's not the main creative driving force, and
I
so
I don't think, because what he thinks works is Captain Marvel and Eternals.
there's. I'm not gonna get into the Captain Marvel rumors. Never mind. Um,
No, no,
we,
no.
we,
This is
we
these are Marvel updates. Give us the Captain Marvel updates.
I just heard that there. I hear people in the know talk about this, and they won't go into full detail either. But like, there's a reason she was cast for the role.
Okay,
Like,
like a nepotism thing.
not nepotism, but re- relationships. I'm not gonna get into this. We'll get in trouble.
Sure,
Okay,
sure, definitely.
but yeah, there was a reason that he was like, "Oh yeah, she's perfect for this," and it's like, anyhow, yeah. So there seems to be a lot going on at Marvel that they're not talking about. There's a lot of weird changes happening behind the scenes. Um, I mean, if you just look around, that obviously movies are underperforming. The big test is going to be next month with Black Panther 2, um, how it performs. You know, I'm hearing a lot of people saying it's probably only going to make like 700 to 800 million. You know, the first one was a massive, massive hit. Um, so we'll see. I know I have no desire to go see it. I think you're pretty much, well, you've got the streak going. You'll go see it.
Yeah, I've got the streak, but it's not. I hate Namor.
Yeah. So let's move on to She-Hulk, since we're already talking about this anyways. Uh, and the method is Phase 4. We both have not seen the She-Hulk finale, but I have read the spoilers.
Well, good news is it's the finale. Woo! It's over. We made it, guys.
I'm here in season 2, so so just we have not seen it, so we're just talking about what happened from what we've heard. So a lot of people are like, oh, you haven't seen it, you can't really comment on it. That's fine. You could criticize us for that. That's fine.
Hmm.
Um, but in the comic books, Jen has a habit of breaking the fourth wall, talking to the comic book writers and stuff. And they did that in the finale for how she deals with the big bad. She's like, "Oh, I don't like how this ending's going." And she goes talks to Kevin, the robot who's controlling everything. Like supposed to be Kevin Feige. He has the hat on and everything. Um, yeah,
That's stupid.
and I watched some different shows. Someone had a good idea. They're like, this should have been like the mid-season episode, and then the rest of the show should have been a court battle with her fighting for how the show should end. And I think that's a much better
Yeah, yeah.
way to do this. Um, it seemed like maybe the whole season was just to get to this joke, and it's kind of like you
Yes,
need to build.
that is exactly what it is. I didn't I it never hit me. No, that is exactly it.
Yeah,
That
and it's kind of like you need more for a show to work.
well,
Um,
and even if it's a joke, they wrote a joke backwards. They wrote the punchline first.
yeah. Um, the other big thing in the episode was Hulk came back and he has his son with him. If you've read the comic books, you know he has a son named Scar that he got during World War Hulk. It's a long, confusing story.
We got Scar before we got Rick Jones. How do you feel about that?
It's terrible. I'm not. I've never been a big fan of Scar, but have you seen the pictures of Scar?
Well, not only have I seen the pictures of Scar, I have seen why he looks like I've read an interview of why he looks like that.
What is that?
No, no, no. Here's the thing. No, no. There's a reason he looks like this. I read the interview with the showrunner
Why does he look like this?
because he's modeled after Kevin Feige.
Why would you turn? Why would you turn Scar into a joke? What?
Because this whole show is a joke, and honestly,
But
this singular show,
oh, now I'm even more mad.
here's the thing. This episode, this single episode, and this is why I've already done my rant on Feige. I am more ready to rant about and crap on Feige just because of this episode. Because for some reason we're treating Feige like this god, and he's just a producer. Like,
I'm pulling up a picture of how Scar is supposed to look.
oh man, he looks so cool.
Well,
Like
he's
I'm not a
basically like Hulk Conan, is what he
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and it is. What are you thinking?
Balding middle-aged man Scar.
Like,
Oh, he's so cool. He's so cool.
yeah, and the other thing is, and I guess this was supposed to be a big reveal, and they kind of played off it. She was like, "Where'd the sun come from?" They're like, "Oh, we'll get to that in the movie." So was this their stealth way of announcing, "Oh, there's a Hulk movie coming," and then nobody got excited about because everybody was so disappointed by the finale? Uh,
Yeah. You think
so
that's the World War Hulk movie?
I'm thinking that they will announce it here pretty soon because they kept saying unannounced movie has been pushed back. So I think it'll be like World War Hulk.
When does that Paramount? Not Paramount. Is it Paramount or Universal?
Universal had the rights to the Hulk name, and I think it expires this year or next year. I don't know. It was like a 25-year deal, or something, 20-year, 25 something, but it's ending soon. It would have to be a 20-year deal because last Hulk movie came out. Well, it'd probably be with the when the first one came out. I don't know how the deal's set up,
Well,
but
so first Hulk with Eric Bana came out in 2003. So that's 20 years.
yeah. So yeah, 20 years since then, that would make sense. So now they can start making movies with Hulk in the title
Well,
again.
and in theory, like they can start making it now and release it in 2024, 2025, right? Is that how that works?
I don't know if they're officially allowed to start production until the end of the year, like
Okay.
legally.
Yeah,
I know.
that's where it gets confusing is like,
Yeah,
are they allowed to work on it and like not announce anything until, or can they not even start it until
I know when
like
they're going through a merger, like they couldn't use the Fantastic Four characters at all, even talk about them until the merger was complete. So it could be similar to that. I don't know. There's a lot of, but I mean, they use Hulk in other movies. I feel like Hulk's a little bit. It's a little bit different. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, this is the thing. They keep doing stuff like this, and I'm fine with She-Hulk being a little bit silly and poking fun at the Marvel universe. I don't feel like it did enough of that, and what it did, it just wasn't. I did see the first episode, and then I saw clips of other stuff, and it just wasn't what the show could have been.
I saw the majority. So my dad, he's like, you know who's in this episode, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you want to see it? I'm like, okay. So he showed me the majority of the Daredevil episode, and
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty funny. You know,
yeah,
I think his walk of shame or walk of victory, whatever you want to, I
yeah,
think that's funny.
yeah.
Um, but no, okay. So breaking the fourth wall is difficult because you have to make a decision. Um, do you want your character to know if they are a fictional character or not? And the thing is I don't think they made that distinction. The whole thing with Deadpool is that he doesn't know that he's breaking. He knows there's someone watching, but he doesn't know who or what. Like he doesn't actually know. And then whenever he finally finds out, that's when Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe happens.
I think one of the worst. Now that I'm thinking about this, the joke that doesn't really work in the first episode is the first time she talks to the audience, she's like shocked that she did it. That should have like broken her world at that moment. You should, if you're going to have her talk to the audience, just have her talking to the audience. Don't have this moment where all of a sudden she realizes she can do it. You know, just
Mhm.
it's
It's not a
just
superpower. It's just
right.
something.
Yeah, and yeah, just a mess. And so I mean, this is coming off the heels of Moon Knight. That was pretty. We I enjoyed most of Moon Knight.
I liked it, but I acknowledge that like
It could have been
it's
better.
it could have been better, and it was not well received. Um,
um,
Miss
yeah,
Marvel, which so everyone that I've heard on the internet hated it, but everyone that I've heard personally that watched it, like my dad, my friends, they all loved it.
yeah.
Um, what else was there?
We had Hawkeye.
I enjoyed Hawkeye for what it was.
I thought Loki was okay.
I really liked Loki. Um,
I did not watch Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I acknowledge that I'm the only one who liked it, and I'm okay with that. And WandaVision was great.
I liked
Uh,
WandaVision. It kind of fell apart a little bit towards the end, but I know they were dealing with COVID, so I give it a pass.
and
Um,
then
the
What
but the
If
What
was
If had a couple of good episodes, but the rest was trash.
well,
Uh,
What If had one good episode.
Man, that Doctor Strange episode is so
it,
good.
it's better than both movies,
It is.
and I love both those movies. But like
uh,
if we're talking about tier lists, and we go back and put like the shows on our tier list, that episode alone is going up in the S tier.
yeah, it is, and it's the voice acting is so good in it. It's
Hmm.
fantastic. All right, so Marvel, we'll keep an eye on Marvel. They're either going to get their stuff together, or we're in for a rough Phase 5.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. I'm sure we're gonna have some gems like Deadpool 3 and Guardians 3, but we'll see. Oh, and Werewolf by Night is great. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
hoping they'll learn from that. We've heard rumors that maybe Nova will be a mini movie now.
Which
Um,
as the reigning Nova fanboy that I am, I don't know how I feel about that. Because I feel like that would just be the origin of Richard Rider, and then the movie would be him training Sam. And I'd rather just have a movie with Richard Rider.
um, I've also heard this might be a way that they do X-Men characters in the future. We're like, oh, here's a mini movie about Storm, or here's a mini movie about Cyclops, or whatever. And I think that works.
That would be cool. Honestly, we don't need a whole movie about Weapon X, but we could do like one of those mini movies about Weapon X.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, if you could look back at was it Wolverine versus the Hulk, that's only like a
oh,
55 little minute
oh
animated movie, and
yeah.
it's great.
It's possibly it that that might be the best animated Marvel movie. Although I do love the Doctor Strange one too, so it's one of those two.
Yeah. We have one more news item. Well, let's get away from Marvel for now. Um, and that is one of my favorite franchises. The Naked Gun franchise is getting a reboot. Caleb, are you a fan of the Naked Gun franchise?
I wouldn't say that I'm a fan, but like I have seen the movies, and I do think they're funny. But yeah,
Have you seen Police Squad?
Police Academy.
No, Police Squad.
No.
So if you the title of Naked Gun is from the files of Police Squad, so it was a TV show before the movies, and it
Okay.
got canceled very quickly, starring Leslie Nielsen. Those are hilarious. So you should try to find those. They're very funny, and a lot of the jokes on there are that they set up are continued in the Naked Gun movies. Anyhow, um, so they announced they're rebooting Naked Gun. Leslie Nielsen was famously not a comedy actor, and then they kind of turned him into a comedy actor, starting with Airplane and then continuing on at Naked Gun movies. Um, who do you think? Who would you cast as Frank Drebin in a Naked Gun reboot?
Oh, well, now
Knowing
that you
that, knowing that in the past they took like a serious actor and they said, okay, we're gonna make you uh, comedian.
Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't know. That's just the first guy that popped in my head. Um,
So I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
pull up the
I mean,
picture of
I
who
mean,
they've cast
I
or
mean,
who
a,
the rumored cast is.
a legit answer would be Bradley Cooper, but Bradley Cooper's already kind of a comedic actor. So he was a comedic actor that turned into a serious actor. So it'd be like him going back to comedy.
Yeah. Uh, so here you go. Um,
Wow.
just take it in.
He's in everything, dude.
I could see this. If you've
I
seen his,
can.
if
I
you've seen
can.
his clips of Ricky Gervais, um, I could definitely see him play this type of role where he's a somewhat serious actor in this comedic situation. Um,
So, have you seen the second Anchorman movie?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so have you seen the first one?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yes,
Okay, so you know the scene where they have the fight scene with all the news stations.
yes,
So they do it again. Well, so here's the thing: Anchorman Two is one of those sequels that does everything that the first movie does, but better, and it's a better movie.
okay,
Um, so they do the fight scene again, but this time it's like it's in the 80s, and so it's like specific news stations. Back in the day it was just, here's your cable news, here's your local news. Well, now we have like, different news, and so they're getting ready to fight, and then like Will Smith and his people come in, and they are from ESPN because they're the sports news network.
right,
um, and then you got well, um, Liam Neeson comes in with his crew, and they're from the History Channel because they
oh,
report the news, but much much later. And John C. McGinley is there, and he's the ghost of uh, Stonewall Jackson. He's just, and like they point, and like no one acknowledges it, and then Ron Burgundy is just like, wait, hold on, are we just going to like ignore the fact that this is the ghost of Stonewall Jackson right here? It's great, it's great. And so I think that's the only thing that I've seen him in I mean, he was funny because he's the one who's like, we report the news, but much much later. like so I can see him being funny.
you need to watch the it may have been Life is Short or something. He's on there with Ricky Gervais and Warwick Davis, and they're trying to make him do improv, and he keeps taking it way too serious and ruining whatever they're doing. It's very funny.
So
Um,
what if they go too far though? Like what if
oh, this
like
could be an utter disaster. I freely admit that.
like like what if he is like the generic action star but in a Naked Gun movie?
I mean, I think of like the recent Pink Panther movies where they have some funny parts, but it just something's not working, you know. Um, so yeah, this could turn out very badly.
I'm looking up his filmography because I'm like, there's got to be another comedy thing he's done before, right? I mean, he's
I mean,
in
he was in Leap of Faith with Steve Martin, but he was kind of a serious um, guy in that. Try and prove that Steve Martin was a sham. Um,
No, you know what they could do? have you've seen Hot Fuzz, right?
Yeah.
He could be like the serious, like no nonsense cop, but like, and he plays it completely straight, but everyone else is the weird ones.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Simon Pegg was like the action star cop, and everyone else was just kind of like doing their thing.
Yeah. I
At
just
that point,
had
I would just
some
want another Hot Fuzz. So
I just had some thoughts of what they're gonna do with the OJ character, and is this just gonna be endless OJ Simpson jokes? I don't know. Um,
man, it is a shame that Norm Macdonald is dead now.
oh yeah, yeah. All right, so there's the Naked Gun reboot. We've been talking about the news for an hour, so we gotta get to our main topic.
Well, you know what? I'm just really mad at Feige right now, and I needed to air it out.
No, I think a lot of people, they're quick to say, "Oh, you don't like She-Hulk, you're racist or whatever, but misogynist, whatever." And it's like, no, we just want good product. I don't care who you cast in your show. We just want the stories to be good. We just want, and we haven't been getting good stories of the caliber we were getting, with exception of like two, like Werewolf by Night and Spider-Man: No Way Home. We
and
have
I
not.
like Doctor Strange, but I accept
Yeah,
that. I'm it.
but it just feels like everything's off right now. And so when you're really off, then it's just like,
Well, you know what? And then there's Shang-Chi and WandaVision, but like it's so sporadic that like Shang-Chi was like 2 years ago, right? Or was that last
uh,
year?
no, it was.
Was it last year? Oh.
It may have been last year. Yeah, it was last year. Ever since the pandemic, all the years have just kind of blurred into one giant year in my head.
Right, yeah.
So, um, yeah. All
But
right,
yeah,
let's get.
no, like that's four things out of like 15 things they've released. It's not a good record right now.
Yeah. So let's get to our main topic here. Now that we're an hour in, Smash Brothers. Um, we were talking about how great Smash Brothers Ultimate is, and I really don't know if Sakurai wants to make another one. Although he said that about every Smash Brothers game. This is the last one.
Yeah.
Um, but he puts a lot of work into these.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said, Ultimate's kind of close to perfection. Um, the best idea I think I've heard is just keep re-releasing it forever in your virtual store, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. You know?
Right. No updates, no anything. You just keep
Yeah.
re-releasing it.
Uh, I
I'm still waiting for them, and I know they won't do it. But all of my FGC people, we know that technically, competitively, Melee is a better game. And so
yeah.
when do you re-release Melee with online? So like that's besides the point.
Well, you know they would screw up the online, but that's
They
again
would.
besides the point. Um, so to me, there's only one way forward, and that's to scale back the next game. You will never get all of these studios on board, especially with characters like Solid Snake. Uh, this was it. This is the last time you're gonna see Solid Snake. Um, it's amazing that he's in this game at all. Um, so that being said, I think you have to scale it back and do something different. So we've both kind of made a list of different ideas. So my first idea is Super Hyrule Brothers. Instead of doing a celebration of video games, do a celebration of Zelda. Um, we've kind of seen this with what's the Tecmo game that are
Hyrule
the
Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors, where you play as all these different characters. But there's so many characters in the Zelda series that have different abilities that could easily be their own fighters.
Yeah.
Um, so the picture I pulled up just has some of the different people.
I think this is actually from Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah. And I think maybe except for the Bug Girl, I think each of these could be a their own fighter. Um, The other thing is, I would bring back just the classic roster from the first Smash Bros. Games as hidden characters and give them all Link hats, and then you could
Okay.
unlock, like Ness or Samus or whatever. Um, but so it would primarily be the Hyrule characters, plus you gotta have a little bit of Smash Brothers in there. You'd have the classic 12 in there. Um, the other part that goes with that is we've had several links throughout the series, and each link would play totally differently. You've had the Hero of Time, you've had the Wind Waker link. All of these could have different abilities. Definitely the Majora's Mask link, and so on. Um, s-
Oh, for one of my pitches, we'll get to him. We'll get to
yeah, yeah.
him.
So this is actually an idea I've had for several years of why I don't know why this game hasn't happened. It's kind of a no brainer to do a Smash Brothers with just Zelda characters.
Well, and you know what's weird is there are other um, there are other games that have even Nintendo properties that have gotten like the Smash Brothers treatment. I think there are at least like four Kirby games that are Smash Brothers games.
Okay.
Um, like I feel like Kirby Fighters. I think there's Kirby Fighters and Kirby Fighters 2. I think it's like there's Kirby Clash something. I don't know. Cameron is super big into Kirby, as we've talked about before, and so he
Hmm.
has all of them. And so he's had me play some of these Kirby Fighters, which I guess it makes sense because it's Sakurai who makes
Right.
Kirby too.
Right.
Um, but yeah, like what do we have so far? We have Nintendo, Kirby, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those are platform fighters.
Yeah. So I would not be surprised if this one happens one day.
It'd be
Maybe not.
cool.
Maybe sometime in the next 10 years, this will happen. So, um, all right. So what is one of yours that you have?
So I think I'm gonna go in the opposite direction
Okay.
because you said um, yes. There we go. You said scale back. I'm gonna go ahead and say keep moving forward for my because my other ones are going to be a little bit more scaled back.
Hmm.
Um, but this is the roster. And it's a little blurry, but this is the final roster for Smash Brothers Ultimate. And so, um, in theory, what you could do is you could re-release these games over the course of the next 20 years on different consoles, and you just keep adding characters like as if this was a FIFA game or a Madden game.
Hmm.
um, and so like you would have this, you don't change anything, but you add maybe 12 new characters, and then you have two more fighter passes as DLC, and you just do that forever. Now, of course, there are some characters on here that probably wouldn't make it back. This guy right here, Sora.
Hmm.
This is a miracle that he's in the game. um, and he's never coming back.
Well, and I've heard that Disney and them were fine with it. I don't know. Um, I think the music was probably harder to get
Yes.
than the character. Um, so do you have a name for this, or is it just
So
continuing Smash Brothers forever?
I mean, you could call it Super Smash Brothers Forever. I would call it Super Smash Brothers for X console. So like whatever the next whatever the next console is, let's just say it's the Switch U or the the Super Switch disk drive or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so Super Smash Brothers for the Super Switch U disk drive. Um, and so you just keep adding onto it, or you could go the King of Fighters route too. You know how like the King of Fighters 95, 96, 98. This is Super Smash Brothers 2030. I don't know. Like, uh, go with the sports analogy, I guess. But yeah, there are definitely some characters like Sora wouldn't be coming back. Cloud and Sephiroth are they're hard sells. Um,
Well, and I think if they keep adding character passes, the only problem is Sakurai, especially if there's a new console, he has a habit of saying, "Oh, I just need to rework everything so it'll work fine on this console." And then he's going to start squares on the beginning again, and
right.
here's Mario, and it's just like I don't know if I mean I'm fine if he does that, but I don't know if for his health and sanity that's a great idea.
Yeah. But he's a YouTuber now too, so
Yeah,
um, I'm
yeah,
subscribed. I haven't watched any of those.
oh,
I
yeah,
want to. I just haven't done it.
yeah.
Um, but
I
yeah,
think I think this is most likely what the future is going to hold. Is kind of what you're describing. Um, I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. I'd like to see something different.
we are entering, and it's not just Smash Brothers, but we are entering an era of Nintendo, um, where their games are too perfect. Where do you go from Breath of the Wild? They say. Where do you go from Mario Kart 8? Where do you go from Super Mario Odyssey? Um, these games are perfect, and so it's kind of hard to follow them up.
Yeah, I think you're going to start seeing more and more new franchises from them,
Which I am
or
so down for. Like Splatoon is great.
or you'll see some games that are kind of scaled back, like Metroid Dread. Something
Yes.
that's a little bit more simple 2D. Still great, but it's not
Yeah.
like the big 3D sprawling whatever.
That's
Um,
my second favorite game of all time.
yeah.
Metroid Dread.
So for my idea is also one that we may have missed our opportunity for this. Like this would have made more sense about 10 years ago, but I really want a Smash Brothers Nintendo versus Sega. Um, I think that there's a lot of characters not even on this poster. And you get into some vague who owns the rights to these characters. Are they really Sega characters? Are they really not? But like Toe Jam and Earl, Vector Man, Echo the Dolphin. There's just so many characters that were big on the Sega Genesis that I think would make sense to make a Nintendo versus Sega.
Honestly, I'm looking at the Sega side. I completely forgot about Billy Hatcher.
Yeah, and this doesn't even have like the Golden Axe characters or Streets of Rage or I mean there's a lot more characters that you can throw on the Sega side.
There's oh no, there she is, the Channel 5 girl or whatever her name is.
Yeah, Ula or something
Ooh la
weird.
la, that's right.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And where's Michael Jackson? I mean, there's so much missing from this. Um
Yeah, but like Nights into Dreams, Eyes, right? Oh yeah, I would be awesome
oh
uh,
yeah.
as a character.
And you could easily do Echo Fighters of him. Yeah. It would
Yeah,
the
I
Bonanza
would.
brothers are down there. Yeah, there's you had like Kid Chameleon and Shocking the Mortal or Undying or whatever he was called. There's so many cool characters that you could pull from.
I still want Shadow the Hedgehog, but him play completely different from Sonic. I think it'd be amazing if you gave Shadow guns.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, this is like I said. I think maybe the era for this is past, but there's still a lot of people from my age group that'd be like, oh yeah, Nintendo versus Sega. Let's do it. Um, like now I think it'd almost be like Nintendo versus Microsoft or versus Sony or something. But
Which, I mean, in theory, at this point, Ultimate is Nintendo versus Sony.
right, yeah, yeah, with a little bit of Microsoft thrown in, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, this is to me makes sense, but I don't know um, if we'll ever get this one. All right. So what's your next one?
My next one is one that this is the one that I think is most likely. So it is called Super Smash Brothers Royale. Um, Back in Smash 4, I believe it was on. This was the 3DS version. There was this thing called Smash Run, where you go around this big sprawling stage and you collect power ups and whatnot. You can fight other people, and then it takes you to like Final Destination or Battlefield, and you fight out with all these powers. Um, I'm thinking kind of like something in the style of Smash Run, kind of a Fortnite 100-person Smash Brothers Battle Royale, um, which I think would be a ton of fun. Like you uh, have, doubles or quad squad, and really just and the way I imagine like these doubles and quad squads work would be like the way Subspace Emissary worked, where you're on the same screen, and so if you get knocked away like really fast, then the screen doesn't move, and at that point you're knocked out. But I think a Smash Brothers Battle Royale would be really cool. I don't know. I I really thought more about the concept than the actual execution. So I don't know how you would execute that. Like maybe you take the Smash Brothers Ultimate engine and characters and just throw them in a battle royale, or if you'd make a completely new game from the ground up with 20 characters and then add on from there. Not sure which. Um, Ideally, this would be the first Smash Brothers game that's free to play in my eyes. Um, but yeah, I think that a Smash Brothers Battle Royale would be a lot of fun, especially if you do it in the style of Smash Run or Subspace Emissary. Um, and so, rather than just re-releasing Smash Ultimate, FIFA or Madden style, I definitely think that this is going to be uh, the future of Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
You'd have to fix the online though.
Well, that's something Nintendo has always struggled with. You gotta get the online right. Um, but yeah, I could see this. I don't know. A lot of free to play things that rely on DLC, paid DLC. I know Nintendo dabbles a little bit in that, but not to the extent like Fortnite does. So I'd be curious to see how they handle that. Um, yeah, it'd be interesting. Um, all right, so let's move on. My final game. This is another one I've been thinking about for years and years and years. Is Smash Brothers Zero. Uh, what this would be is you will only be allowed to use characters that appeared before the NES. Um, so let me find my picture. So you're looking at Cubert, Pac-Man, Frogger, Space Invaders, the Dragon Duck from Adventure. Uh,
That duck ate both my pixels.
Get this freaking duck away from me! uh,
We got to talk about Strong Bad at some point.
Absolutely. Centipede. You'd still have your Nintendo characters in there: Mario, Luigi, Pauline, Donkey Kong Jr., Stanley. Uh,
Stanley, yes.
I mean, there are Nintendo characters from for Nintendo. I think Punch Out predates the Nintendo in the arcades.
Yeah.
Duck Hunt predates Nintendo by quite a bit. It's one of their first arcade games. Um, so
Wild
yeah,
Gunman.
yeah, or Sheriff or Game and Watch. So there's lots of characters you can actually pull from, and I think it'd be a very different experience. You could have a lot of fun with the graphics. You could have 3D models for these characters, but there'd also be like a Atari mode where everybody's super pixelated. Um, I just think this would be cool, or at least this would be cool as a bonus mode in a Smash Brothers game, or some type of unlockable. Um,
I kind of think of it as like a PDA game from Alien Hominid.
yeah, I just think this would be a lot of fun. You got the Pac-Man Ghost, you got all the bad guys from Cubert. There's a ton of characters that you can pull out of Atari. Now this might be a rights nightmare, kind of like Wreck It Ralph, where they're just pulling characters from everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be dealing with a lot of companies to make this work. Um, some of those companies might be defunct at this point, or some of these franchises might be long dead. But I just think this could be a lot of fun.
I'm trying to think of like who would be fun. Like
Well, there's characters like Burger Time, and I'm thinking of arcade games now, like Mappy, and there's just all kinds of stuff you could pull from.
oh, you know what? I would love to play as the Interceptor from Spy Hunter.
Yeah,
Just let me play as the Interceptor from Spy Hunter. It'd be amazing.
yeah. So I just think retro stuff like this is cool, especially when it comes to video games. And when you get to play it with that stuff, it's really cool. Um, I know like modern day kids would be like, where's Fortnite? So uh,
Oh my gosh. They're the ones that ruined Smash for wanting Steve.
Steve. Well, I was amazed that we did not get a Fortnite character in Smash Brothers. I thought for sure we were going to get one.
You know what? I think it would be cool. I'm trying to think of what his name is, but he's like the bad guy of Chapter 2, Midas or something like that. Like he's got his face is like gold or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Yeah, I just know there's a banana guy, Peely
Yeah,
or whatever. But
the majority of my Fortnite knowledge comes from like you see like the 6-inch figures at like Target or GameStop.
yeah,
They're cool designs. I'll give them that.
yeah. Um. All right, so that's Smash Brothers Zero. I just think this would be cool. I think it's playing as a centipede would be cool, and you could split apart, and there's just a lot of fun ideas that we haven't seen in Smash Brothers that you could explore. All right, moving on to our final game idea.
Yes. So and I've only got characters, so I'm gonna wait to put stuff on the screen. But one of my favorite things that one of my it's one of my favorite things, but also one of my least favorite things that a game company can do is they can soft reboot. This happened with Mortal Kombat, how they went back and they just called it Mortal Kombat. And they had the cast from the original Mortal Kombat trilogy. Soul Calibur 6 was actually a soft reboot, um, with just it was essentially like forgetting that Soul Calibur 2 even happened, and it was just a sequel to the original Soul Calibur. Um, we do it with Scream, we do it with Halloween, and so this one is just called Smash Brothers. Just plain and simple, this is Smash Brothers, and this is probably the most scaled back idea that we'll have today. Because I am saying that we go back to the N64. You wouldn't have like N64 graphics, but just those original 12. And then you change it up a little bit. Because there's always going to be a reason to go back. And so, in my opinion, the reason to go back is you have four characters who, in my opinion, are characters that deserved to be in Smash Brothers but never got their shot. And they go back in time to stop Galeem or to stop Taboo, stop Master Hand, whatever. It's kind of like a Mortal Kombat 9 situation. Um, And so and gameplay wise, I'm thinking because one of the things about the original Smash Brothers on 64 is the hit stun was so heavy that like, and I'm gonna start speaking a different language right now. You could up tilt into another up tilt, and you could do that maybe like 4 or 5 times, and then go for an up air, and that's a true combo. You cannot escape that. Like the first one was so jank with its hit stun that like they have Super Smash Brothers 64 combo contest at Super Smash Con every year. And so I'm thinking we go back to that. And so the characters that I'm thinking for this soft reboot, we'll bring up the first one. I don't think anyone would be surprised um, by this one. Is going to be Gino. Now, me personally, I've actually never played Super Mario RPG, so I don't know much about this character, but people seem to like him, and I think he's got a pretty cool design to him. And so I think that he would have like this have like this leadership quality to him, because I would imagine these four characters would come back as like a squad to help save the Smash Brothers universe or whatever, and so he would kind of be like the de facto leader.
Yeah,
Um,
he shoots bullets out of his fingers as his main power.
oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
yeah, like his fingertips kind of it's kind of like the Spectre gadget. They kind of fold back and it'll shoot. It makes a little gun. He shoots it.
Is it like a puppet or something?
Yeah, he is a puppet. Um, yeah, Mario RPG. That's a great game. I'd probably appreciate it more than when I played it originally. But it is a very much a Mario in a square RPG.
But yeah, so this is first character. Second character, I mean, I don't like this character, but I'm sick of hearing about him. So let's go ahead. Let's bring in Waluigi.
Yeah.
What I'd like though for Waluigi is I would want his, because Mario's move set is very basic. Luigi's move set is pretty basic, and then Wario's move set was based off of like WarioWare and Wario Land. I
Oh.
think it'd be cool for Waluigi's move set to be based on like his guest appearances. So like you give him a tennis racket, you give him a golf club. He can drive around on like his ATV from Mario Kart, throw dice around like Mario Party. Like this is the party character. Um,
I think the issue that Nintendo has with Waluigi is he is a character that they did not create. He was created by Camelot, and so because of that, they are very hesitant to use him, or they just don't care about him.
what was his first introduction? I guess I'm
Was
not
it
familiar.
Mario Golf or Mario Tennis? It was one of those, and they were wanting to also do a Peach character that was the same, and they were like, "Nope, you're not doing an evil Peach character," so they had to do Daisy instead.
Okay.
Um, so, um, yeah, I'm not. I think Waluigi is funny as like a joke character, but I'm fine with him never being in a Smash.
Like I said, I'm not a fan of the character. I'm just sick of hearing about him. So just like give the people what they want and forget about it. Now this next one, this is solely for me. I don't think anyone else. There is no way anyone else likes these games more than I do. But I'm thinking the Ray from Custom Robo.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Custom Robo on the GameCube is. I've been thinking about it. It might be my favorite GameCube game, honestly. Um, but man, I want the Ray to be a character. I'm thinking like his neutral B is the gun. His forward B could be missiles. His up B could be the dash booster, and his down B could be pods. But yeah, like there's a lot going on here, and it just be so cool. And I was really disappointed whenever whenever they announced him as an assist trophy. I don't think my heart, because I think we've all had that situation where our hearts sank whenever something was an assist trophy.
Yeah.
Um, for
It-
me, it was this one and Alucard. Those were the
yeah.
two.
We'll get to mine, man. I'm going to pull up when you finished talking about this. I'm going to pull up some other characters that should have been in Smash.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, which I mean that that's just like the cap off to this discussion. Is why weren't these characters in Smash? But yeah, I love custom Robo. In fact, just give me more custom Robo. I don't even need him in Smash. Just give me more custom Robo.
yeah.
And then my last character would be Mask Link, which I think would be so cool. I kind of think of him kind of like Pokemon Trainer.
Absolutely.
His down B, you start him off as Deku Link, and then he can become Goron Link, and then he becomes Zora Link. I'm thinking Deku Link is kind of like the middle ground, where like he's lightweight, really fast, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Your Goron, um, I'm thinking Goron does a lot of damage, but doesn't do a lot of knockback. So like you're building percent, but you got to switch to Zora Link because Zora Link doesn't do any damage, but is super precise and like can stab you, and then that's what shoots you off stage. And so like it's almost like a flow chart where like you start the game as Deku Link, and then you work your way up to get the kill.
Yeah,
Um,
and Goron Link, I think of playing kind of like Bowser Jr., how he zooms across the stage, like he'd be
yeah.
rolling back and forth across the stage quite a bit.
Mhm. And then Zorlink would have his boomerangs and all that. And then we haven't talked about Final Smashes a whole lot because I don't really think about Final Smashes
Hmm.
because I usually have those turned off. But I mean, Fierce Deity is obviously his Final
Oh,
Smash.
of course, yeah,
What I imagine is Fierce Deity. He I want him to walk really slow, but he's got this long sword, and if he hits you, you instantly die.
yeah.
That's what.
All right, so I'm gonna throw out some characters that I've always wanted in Smash, and if you think of any, you can pull them up real quick.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of zoom through these real quick. Uh, I was a big fan of Captain N growing up. Um, so there was a lot of characters on there that to me are like must haves in Nintendo. Eggplant Wizard, Kid Icarus villain here. I don't know why he is not in Smash Brothers. To me, like I like the classic. They were on the original Nintendo console characters, and I think this is a great one that really should have been in there. I know they went with what's his name, Dark Pit instead. I really like um, this character, and if you have Eggplant Wizard, well then you got to have his buddy from Captain N. And again, this is another one. I don't know why he's not in the game. He is probably the most recognizable Punch Out character, King Hippo,
King Hippo would be cool, yeah.
and you could almost make him a clone of King K. Rool a little bit. I mean, you'd have to change some stuff, but it's very similar
I
with
could
the
see him being a combination of King K. Rule and Wario.
yeah, yeah. Um, I would love if both of those characters were in the game, especially since we had Simon Belmont, Mega Man, Pit. I mean, we basically had almost the whole Captain N cast in there. This is another one that was strongly rumored to be in the game and didn't make the final cut. Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden,
Oh, I would love it.
and he's a classic Nintendo character. A lot of people had Ninja Gaiden on Nintendo. It would have just made sense. Um, I don't know why we didn't get him. Most of all, probably him was probably the third party character. I'm surprised we did not get. Who else do I have? Um, I think the viruses from Dr. Mario could have been a lot of fun. Uh, I know Sakurai has a lot of characters that are like 2 and 1s. This would have been a 3 and 1.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I think this could have been really cool, or you could have just had like a generic polygon fighter that when you zoomed in, you would notice he's made up of thousands of viruses or something, you know. Uh, and even if you don't do this, then give us a Dr. Mario stage where you're fighting inside the bottle and the viruses are appearing everywhere. Um, really surprised we didn't really get more of the viruses in the game.
Yeah, I do have some. I have four more ideas.
Okay.
To just to run through them.
Okay.
Um,
Uh, so let me get. I'll finish mine and then we'll switch to yours.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I've got more.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
L Block from
Yes.
Tetris. I don't know why Tetris has not been featured more in Smash Brothers. Is
Was it
probably
an
one of the
assist
most.
trophy at least?
Yeah, I think he. I want to say he is, but at least a Tetris stage. Give us something.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Maybe a character made of Tetris blocks, like every attack, he would morph into a different Tetris piece or something. There's a lot you could do with that.
And like the most annoying one is the squigglies.
Oh
It's like
yeah,
what do I do with this?
yeah. Another Nintendo character I think needs more love. Chibi Robo. Uh,
Oh, I always forget about him.
yeah, exactly. Everybody always forgets about him. I just think he's a lot of fun. He wears all kinds of different costumes. That first Chibi Robo game is really underrated. It's pretty fun. It's very different.
You know what? I think I always thought maybe I imagined Chibi Robo, or like maybe it doesn't actually exist because I only ever hear about it when I'm talking to you.
That
And
game
so,
is almost like a fever dream. It's very weird.
yeah, I'm like, does this even exist? Like, is he? I've never seen it.
I think I bought it for like $5 at Circuit City or something.
That's really funny. Like, there. Hold on. Let's say that sentence. I bought Chibi. What was it on the GameCube?
Yeah,
I bought Chibi Robo on the Nintendo GameCube for $5 at Circuit City. What a sentence.
I bought a lot of games for $5 at Circuit Cities. I got Pikmin 2 for $5. I got Earthbound for $5 from Blockbuster. Got Conker's Bad Fur Day for $5 from Blockbuster. Those were
Which,
good
by the way,
times.
Conker's not making it. Like, there's no way.
I know, but that game is if you're old enough to play it, Conker's Bad Fur Day is an amazing game. The original from Nintendo 64, not the Xbox version, the original. All right, I got a few more. Let's see. Save him for last. This one I'm definitely surprised we have never gotten, and that is Ganon. Not
Oh
Ganondorf,
yeah.
but Pig Ganon, specifically from Link to the Past. But this is a no-brainer for me. It's like, why do we not have this character in in Smash Brothers? You could make fire bats. He could turn invisible. He has all kinds of crazy attacks, teleporting, and yeah. Why is this character not in the game? I don't know. My final one. This one breaks my heart because there's a lot of references to him in Smash Bros. Ultimate, but that's as far as it goes. That is Masked Man from Mother 3. Sakurai obviously loves the character because he's all throughout the game. Like his icon appears everywhere. But he would be the perfect character to go with Lucas. And I mean, you just look at him. He's got a sword, arm cannon. He's got tons of move potential.
I mean, honestly, he looks like a Mii fighter.
Yeah. I don't know. This one's frustrating. That's not in the game.
That's also heartbreaking. Whenever your character that you want is a Mii costume, that's another heartbreak.
Well, I do like what they did
The Sands one was cool.
the Sans one where they put a little bit more effort into the Mii costumes. Those were cool.
Yeah.
At least those are better than nothing. you know.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that was my last one. So what are some of yours?
All right. So I wanted to go weird with my first one. My first one, Excitebots.
Yeah, that's a great game.
Oh, I love Excitebots. And like I don't even care which one. Just put one in there. It'd be a lot of fun. And I would imagine like if they'd be like Sheik and Zelda, you know, like you down B and like you got car form and then you've got mech form. I think Excitebots. First of all, I think Excitebots needs more love because I'm not a fan of the Excite Bike series. This is the only one I like, and it's a lot of fun.
I would definitely like to see more with the Excite series. I don't know if you could do bots again because it was very much the Wii controller.
Yeah.
But this is a franchise that definitely needs
Hmm.
more love.
Next up, I think the SAX would be super cool. I know we've already got Samus and we've already got Dark Samus, but SAX from Metroid Fusion, I think you could do a lot with because the SAX. I imagine it would be kind of like a combination of Dark Samus and Kirby,
Okay,
um, because the SAX like absorbs abilities.
is this the? I'm not up on my Metroid lore. Is this like the virus that like
Yeah,
duplicates things or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the X virus.
Okay,
And so I think SAX would be a lot really cool. Silex too, but Silex is like inevitable, honestly. So yeah, sure. But I want to give SAX some love because um, spoiler alert for Dread. Because I do think that it's a great, it's my second favorite game of all time, and I need people to play it without spoilers. So just spoiler alert. Although, have you played it? Do you know what happens in it?
and which one?
Dread.
No, I have not played Dread yet.
How big of a fan of Fusion are you?
I don't. Have I played Fusion? I've probably played a little bit of it.
Then you probably wouldn't care about this twist anyway. But the X parasite about halfway through the game, after you're done fighting the Emmys. Oh, the Emmys would be so cool too. Anyway, um, once you're done fighting the Emmys, you open up a vault and the X parasites are back. And so I think we're at a point where the X parasites are like on people's minds. So um, I think that SAX would be really cool and absorb abilities. Uh, Bill Reiser from Contra would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know
um,
if you have this one on your list, but that just reminded me of Bimmy and Jimmy Lee from Double Dragon. Would be
oh
great.
no, that'd be cool. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You know what I would love though? I want Iron Chef guy to voice him.
Yeah, and I specifically want him to be called Bimmy. That is the only way he should ever be remembered from now on. Is Bimmy and Jimmy Lee.
um, but anyway, yeah, no, so it wouldn't just be Bill. I would imagine it would be kind of like Bowser Jr., where like as you switch between the costumes, it's like Wendy and Ludwig and Roy. So you'd have Bill Reiser, you'd have Lance Bean. Um, those are the two that I've memorized, but there are plenty of other Contra characters. Um, but like honestly, whenever I think of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, for me, the first game that comes to mind is Contra.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorites. This next one, I had to look to find I had to look to find a picture that wouldn't awaken anything in people. Um, but Crystal from Star Fox. I think it'd be cool to have a spacey character that doesn't have a gun. I think she could work with that staff and it'd be really cool. I'm actually, hot take, I'm a big fan of Star Fox Adventures. And so give her that move list. It'd be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, but yeah, I think Crystal would be uh, really cool. And then my last character, and this is the character, and I know I put Bill Reiser on this. I'm usually against guest characters in Smash Brothers because I really think it should be the Nintendo show.
I really think for me, unless it's a brand new franchise, well, even then I'm kind of hesitant. they really should have been on the original Nintendo console to be
Hmm.
a considered for guest character. But go on, go on.
Yeah. Well, and so this last character was on the original Nintendo console. Uh, give me some Black Mage.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Black Mage would be awesome. Really, any of the OG Final Fantasy characters, but I feel like we all know Black Mage.
That's the one I would
Yeah,
probably recognize out of lineup. If you showed me a bunch of characters, I probably couldn't tell you if they were Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior, or whatever.
yeah,
But this one, I could tell you.
yeah. Um, you could call him Black Mage. You could call him. I don't remember what the character's name is in Final Fantasy IX. Um, but you can give him that name instead, so you don't have the character Black Mage because
Yeah,
you know what
we
that
live
would
in.
that's definitely rough because I just realized that his skin is literally black. Um, this would be a rough sell. I understand, but no, he'd be cool. What it? You know what? I'm gonna find his name just so that way I don't say Black Mage. I don't think
Well,
that's
I agree. Um, all right, so that's our ideas for
Vivi.
Smash Bros. What's it?
Vivi.
Vivi. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna wrap up our Smash Brothers talk there. If you got ideas or characters you want to see, please let us know down in the comments. So lastly, we have begun reading Fantastic Four. We read through issues 13 through 24, and that was a lot of comic books. It took me hours to read through
Yeah.
all this yesterday.
It's
So
it's 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 been rough because these are definitely we talked about this last week. These are definitely old comic books.
right, it's almost like you're reading a mini novel every time, and it's just like okay. So next week we will probably just do like 25 through 30, and I think an annual. We'll cut down the number a little bit. And then after that, we'll probably start doing 5 to 6 issues,
Hmm.
at least until we get out of the Stan Lee era. Because right now it is hard to sit down and. 'Cause yesterday I forgot all about this. I was like, "Oh, I got to read 12 issues of Fantastic Four," and then it was like 5 hours later.
Whenever I was reading through Stan's Spider-Man, I made a point that you could take out half of the speech bubbles and it would make just as much sense.
Oh
Like there
yeah.
there are too many speech bubbles in old comics.
Now that being said, these are still fun stories for the
Oh
most
yeah.
part. Still enjoyable romps. A lot of these were Doctor Doom stories. A lot of them
Yep.
was Doctor Doom has trapped them in some trap. How do they get out? Those got a little frustrating after a while.
No, this is
Um,
definitely these are like this is Batman 66, but like in comic book form. Like the same, it's always the Riddler. How are Batman and Robin gonna get out of this one? Which I love that show too, so it's fine. But yeah, um, it's
yes,
just it's nice whenever we can get away from Doctor Doom too.
yeah. So we're short on time tonight, so we're not going to go through all 12 issues. We're just going to point out a couple that jumped out at us. I thought the Red Ghost issue was really great. We met the Watcher.
Hmm.
Uh, we met an evil cosmonaut who took 3 monkeys up to space, and they all got wacky powers. That's fun. I mean, that's just fun.
Yeah.
One of the monkeys could shapeshift. So it is what's fun is the Red Ghost does not have full control over the monkeys, so you don't know what the monkeys are going to do. Um, so yeah, these are some great characters. We also got the infamous hate monger issue, which we got to be careful how
Hmm.
we talk about this one on YouTube. Involves someone that was from World War II, a bad guy from World War II. We'll just call him that. Um, I thought this issue was kind of overrated because I've heard a lot about this issue, and I finally read it. I was kind of like, oh, okay. And I guess if you know the plot twist going in, then it's not really a big deal. Um,
Well, and like, I mean, at this point, we've had this person in so many movies be
oh, there's
parodied.
so much pop culture. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So I
like
guess I guess in the '60s, this was kind of like a big thing. Like, oh my gosh, can you believe Stan Lee did that?
I
Um,
mean, I guess it'd be kind of like if Superman were to like punch Putin now. I don't know.
Yeah, or a 9/11 attacker was
Right.
revealed to still be alive as Doctor Doom or something. It'd be some type of twist. It'd be like, oh my gosh, what the heck
Yeah.
are you doing? Um, yes, but uh, we also got to see Molecule Man. He was okay. He gets more interesting later on.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
really,
love Molecule Command, but he's not there yet.
yeah. Um, and then I think you had one issue you wanted to mention.
Yes, that's issue 18. A scroll walks among us. Pretty sus, if you ask me. Um, I am so sorry. Um, I'll go ahead and put my I'll put my cover of it on there. Um, yeah, there we go. Um, but yeah, um, so I talk about this all the time. I'm a big fan of Marvel vs. Capcom, specifically Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Super Skrull is a character. And so I definitely read it in his Marvel vs. Capcom voice, and it was a lot of fun. This might actually be my favorite issue so far.
I thought that the picture or the frame at the end where they were burying him in the volcano, he looked so sad. I don't know if you saw his face. He looked so sad. He's like, oh,
Right. Uh, no, I loved this, and you know what? I never realized this until like just now. Um, did you see Rise of Silver Surfer?
I have never seen Rise of Silver Surfer.
Okay, gotcha. So they adapt and I never realized this, but they adapt Super Scroll in the weirdest way possible. Um, because Johnny has like an altercation with Silver Surfer at the very beginning, and so he can't touch the family because if he touches his family, then they swap powers,
Mm-hmm.
and so like that's how they get Jessica Alba naked, is because she gets the fire powers and burns off her clothes, or like he gets he gets his comeuppance because he switches powers with Ben, and so now he's the Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so at the end, what they do whenever they're fighting Doctor Doom is they all put their hands in, and he absorbs all of their powers at once, and he basically becomes Super Skrull at that point.
Gotcha.
It's
Uh,
super weird, and I never realized it. But I'm like, wait a second, Johnny Storm was the Super Skrull.
well, I think they've done similar stories in the comics. I'm almost positive they have.
Yeah,
I know they've done the power swap story several times.
yeah.
Um,
But yes, this is my favorite issue so far. I really liked it.
we also got Rama Tut. This is one of the early Kang the Conqueror stories. Kang wears many different faces in the Marvel universe, and this was one of
Hmm.
them.
Yep.
So, um, other comments I had. I don't think Stan Lee has any clue how magnets work. I noticed this several times in the comics. I was like, "What is going on?" I don't know if you noticed that also, but it
No,
was it was ridiculous.
I didn't. But what was that one quote you sent me from Johnny?
About being a what was it? Why don't you go get a job as a food tester in the poison factory?
Okay, so whenever you sent me that, it immediately reminded me of my favorite line, um, from Stanley Ditko, uh, Spider-Man,
Hmm.
which is I think it was Flash Thompson with like they're all bowling and they're having a good time, and then Peter shows up and is like, "What are you doing here, Parker? This is a bowling alley, not a knitting circle."
Right?
like 60s insults are so weird.
Yeah. Um, we also had some other characters pop up that will become big deals later on. The Mad Thinker and also Android. These are two very cool characters. I thought this story was terrible.
Yes.
Where it's like it was almost more of a Batman Clock King story than a because he had everything down to the second, and it was like stupid stuff like I know this monkey is going to start a fire and destroy all the papers. And it's just like, what are you talking about? And it's almost like that's the type of X factor he gets beaten by at the end. It's like, well, how would he know the monkey's going to start the fire at this precise second? It was not well thought out at all.
No, I think so. I talked about this before we started, but I think like my main thing is like, man, these aren't like super great, super consistent. How are we halfway to Galactus already?
Um, I think yeah, it's gonna get better. I mean, I think it is getting better.
No, no, absolutely. It is getting better. But it's insane to think about how we're halfway to Galactus whenever what Ra's al Ghul took 40 years to get to.
Yeah. I want to point out this issue real quick. The master plan of Doctor Doom. He gets three criminals and gives them powers. I know a lot about Marvel Comics. I had no clue who these people were. I assume they come back at some point, but I have no clue who they are.
Yeah, I was wondering. You know what's funny though? Anytime that people do like the Fantastic Four, but it's three of them, I immediately think of the Terrific Trio from Batman Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all I could think of with that issue was the Terrific Trio.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, I don't know who. I think one was named Yogi and Dan Phillips or something. I was just like, I don't know who these
Mhm.
guys are. um, we got the Infant Terrible issue. That one I've heard of before. I think those aliens show up again during Annihilation Conquest. Uh, because I think they get taken over by the Phalanx, and they're like freaking out that the Phalanx have one of those aliens under their control.
I guess
Um,
one thing I didn't realize about Fantastic Four, and this is cool. With this experiment, I'm already learning.
mhm.
I didn't realize how cosmic they were.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is where all this gets started.
So you're telling me, because I have no idea, does a nihilist get introduced in Fantastic Four?
Yes, he is very much a Fantastic Four villain. He'll show up a
Really?
lot during the Hickman era. He's going to show up very soon. He's in one of the annuals coming up. Because I think we kind of skipped annual issue one, but he's definitely in those. Um, this issue was a big deal. Sue getting her force field finally, and now it says like, oh, now she's useful. Because the first chunk of these issues was a lot of her getting captured, and I mean a lot.
Yeah.
It was like every issue, Sue's captured again. Um, but now she has the force field. It's like okay, now the Fantastic Four are complete. Now we can kind of start telling stories.
I
Um,
guess I always thought that like she was like on Reed's level intellectually. But I guess not yet.
well, I think they did that more in the Ultimate Universe. But yeah, they will definitely make her more intelligent. I don't know if during the Stan Lee era, but definitely you will see that she is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four later on. Um,
So far, and I think I'll go ahead and say this. So far, I think Sue is my least favorite Stanley written female.
yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
I think the issue where
Betty
she got the
Brant is better than her.
I think this issue where she got the force field, she was a little bit better written. Like she was more
Yeah,
confident all of a sudden. Um, I also want to point out this issue was funny because Mole Man got everybody to start complaining against Fantastic Four, and I could just think of the Karen memes, like all these Karens attacking the Fantastic Four.
Mole Man's like they can't. My moles can't hear me because they're listening to Kids Bop.
Yeah, this issue also, I think it introduced the Moloid to his little army. They're great. They will pop up a lot more, especially during the Hickman era. We see a lot more of those little guys, and they're fun. Um, but yeah, we're starting to build a nice little universe here. Um, in this
At
nice
what point,
world.
because like I've read through the Spider-Man stuff, and I
Hmm.
think you've recently finished that, right?
I I ran out of volumes. I have not read. I'm past where Gwen Stacy died, but not too far past there.
Okay, gotcha. Where are we in relation to Spider-Man? Like, are these kind of like started at the same time, or is this a little bit before Spider-Man?
Uh, let's see. Can I tell by looking at this? Okay, so issue 25, which is next month, came out in 1964. And if I grab the Spider-Man Stanley Marvel book over here, Spider-Man started 3248. Hold on one second. 1963. So Spider-Man's pretty new at this point. I think Johnny just mentioned him in one of the recent issues.
Okay. Now is that Spider-Man or is that Amazing Fantasy 15?
So that is Spider-Man. Amazing Fantasy 15 was quite a bit before that, actually. That was 1962.
Okay, gotcha. So Spider-Man probably started around the same time. Like like like
Well,
like like character.
probably the year after Fantastic Four debuted, he showed up, but he did his own series for another 2 years,
Right.
um, just because
There's this
Stanley was writing
there's this
100
one
comics.
old Spider-Man comic that sticks out to me because um when we lived up in Jersey, my mom would get the newspaper for coupons, and it would come with like a free reprint of an old Spider-Man comic. There's like one that's like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four versus the Vulture.
Okay.
Um, I don't remember like how. I don't remember what number Spider-Man. I remember it was a Spider-Man issue. I just don't remember which Spider-Man issue that was.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. Here's just jumping ahead a little. Um, I know this is annual number 6 in 1968, but there's a nihilist there. So I mean, he's
Okay.
definitely coming. Yeah. um, ooh, this is where they have Franklin. Spoilers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
So this is going to be interesting because you've talked up Franklin to me so much, um, not even just on the show, but just in my life. um,
he's the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. Yeah.
yeah, and I know nothing about it. The most that I know about him is that he is apparently a mutant, but not really.
He was a mutant for 50 years until Dan Slott said he's not a mutant anymore. And I think that was just so the ex office could not use him during the Krakoa era.
We haven't been keeping up with that. How's that going?
Krakoa? Oh,
Yeah.
it is the I mean they're still having the Eternals war, I think, is still going on or whatever, where they resurrected Captain America
I do remember that, yeah.
and there's like no stakes that they Magneto had his heart ripped out and then he built a new heart out of using iron or something and kept alive and kept fighting. I don't know. It's bad. It's real bad.
I mean, can we talk about just like it's impressive at this point that it's gotten here because
I don't know how
House
you do this on
House
purpose.
House of X Powers of 10 is one of the greatest 10 issues of comic books I've ever read.
Yeah, it is. It's like Hickman gave you like Shakespeare. And it's like here, build off of this, and then you made Mad Magazine or something from it. I don't know. It is bizarre.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm at this point. I'm surprised we're still in the Krakoa era. I'm surprised that we haven't had like a major um,
Well,
retcon yet.
we've got Sins of Sinister coming up, and then Fall of X is this summer, and I think Fall of X is going to be the end of the Krakoa era. What that means, who knows?
I
Uh,
wonder. I wonder if they're even like.
I
Do
just
you
hope that
think? Do you think Hickman like left notes?
I. Well, I think that it was supposed to end with Inferno. It was where the story was supposed to end, and I think it was supposed to be a Hickman, maybe 2 books a month. X-Men was the plan, and they're like, "Oh no, we got to have 20 books every month," and so they got these hack writers in there, and they just destroyed everything. So then Hickman was like, "I'm out," you know,
Yeah.
and because it worked out really well for him when he did Avengers, building up to Secret Wars, and they've just screwed it up, and I don't know how you fix all this. I mean, I have ideas. I don't think they're capable, the current writers, to fix it, to put everything back to some type of X-Men status quo. Uh, I, I mean, you'd almost have to reveal that Krakoa's been controlling everybody, and Krakoa dies, and everybody kind of turns back to normal and goes their separate ways.
I thought that's what it was gonna be.
Well, I mean, if you read that early Hickman stuff, it's obviously that Krakoa is feeding off of everyone, and the mutants are like, we have to breed, we have to bring every mutant here possible. Why would you do that unless you're Krakoa feeding off of everybody? The more people you can feed off, the more powerful you're going to become. You
I just
know,
wonder what Moira has to do with any of it.
I don't know. She's with the bad guys now, um, which I find disappointing. I thought the Moira twist was fun, and I feel like
Oh
her
man.
character's been kind of ruined now.
I mean,
Um,
like her being a mutant is like it's the best retcon I've ever seen in a comic book.
yeah,
Like,
because she's always been there. They never explain why she's been there. She's just there. You're like, why is all of a sudden Xavier have a house made with a machine gun now? What happened? Um, yeah. So, uh, you got any ideas for next week? I'm thinking we could maybe do an anime show. We want to rant about Marvel. I don't know. We got some ideas we're gonna kick around.
we
Uh,
could do like females. I mentioned Strong Bad.
yeah, maybe we'll do some of our favorite internet series next week or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Don't hug me, I'm scared.
yeah, that's fun. Uh, Monument Mythos. We'll talk about all those next week. So next week we'll talk about some of our favorite internet web series or channels you should check out. The other thing we're talking about doing next week is we're going to actually do 2 shows a week starting next week. We will have our normal show, and then we'll do a midweek Fantastic Four show. We'll just kind of
Mhm.
split those off into own little mini episodes where we talk about the issues. And we're not going to do as many issues, as I said earlier.
Yes.
We'll just do like 5 or 6. Just trying some different things on the channel. So these will probably be shorter shows, but I think it'll work out better. So,
Yeah.
but that's it for this week. I've been Final Monkey.
I'm Caleb.
We'll talk to you next week. See ya.
See ya.